Ready? Awesome. Good evening, everyone. It is the 6th of June. I'd like to welcome you all to the special meeting of the Liquor Control Commission. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deputy Clerk Hannaberry. Attendance, please.
Okay. Commissioner Kruger?
Present.
Commissioner Vito?
Here.
Commissioner Papantos?
Present.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here.
Chairperson Horker?
Here.
Commissioners Lang and Rufato are absent, as well as Clerk Brady with prior notice.
Excellent. You have before you the minutes of the special meeting of May 16th, 2022. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Kruger, Trustee Papantos, sorry. Second, Trustee Vogel, Commissioner Vogel. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes. Any citizens' concerns or comments?
There are none.
Excellent. Brings us to the new business portion of the evening.
7A, ready for it?
Please.
7A, consideration of a request, for a Class L liquor license from Global Jet Capital, Inc. for an event to be held at Atlantic Aviation at 1011 South Wolf Road on June 9, 2022.
Mr. Svandelis, what do we got?
Thank you. While items 7A and 7B are being presented separately, the explanation behind each of those items is very similar. Speaking directly to 7A, this is a request for a Class L corporate special event license for Global Jet Capital for an event being hosted at Atlantic Aviation on Thursday, June 9th. It is important to note that both this item and item 7B are on the agenda this evening because they are both private events and they are happening within FBOs, which are operational 24 hours a day, and the village's municipal code stipulates that it is unlawful to permit the consumption of alcoholic liquor on premises of any business or commercial enterprise during business hours unless a retail liquor license has been issued for such premise. Because they are open 24 hours, we need this license. So 7A and 7B are both private events. We will discuss 7B separately, but that is the explanation for both.
So questions on 7A, and if there are none, a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion, Commissioner Papantos, second, Commissioner Kruger. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes, that brings us to 7B. Deputy Clerk?
Yep. Let's move that. 7B, consideration of a request for a Class L liquor license from Signature Flight Support for an event to be held at 1071 South Wolf Road on June 11, 2022, and for future events on 2 unspecified later dates.
Questions or comments from the Commission? There are none. Need a motion to approve?
There are 3 considerations if you'd like to make a motion.
Must be part of the motion?
Yes, thank
What
you.
are they?
First would be submittal of a certificate of insurance. Second, submittal of proof of Bassett certification. And third, payment of all associated fees.
Would someone like to make a motion with those considerations?
So moved with
Mary?
Thank you, Commissioner Papantos. Second? Or not?
Second.
Commissioner Kruger. Roll call.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes.
7C, consideration of a request for a, consideration of a request for a Class BV liquor license from Social Bar and Grill LLC, a proposed restaurant at 401 to 411 East Dundee Road.
Mr. Svandelis.
Thank you. As the title indicates, this is a request for a Class BV, which is a restaurant with video gaming license for a Social Bar and Grill. This particular property is the former site of, most recently, Palomaro Grill. Before that, a number of restaurants. The property does have a history of allowing a BV license. You may recall that Decca Restaurant had a BV license in that location prior. I am happy to answer any questions. There are 4 conditions if you are willing to consider.
What are the conditions?
Passage of an ordinance by the Board of Trustees authorizing the creation of a new Class BV liquor license. Second, submittal of Bassett certificates for all appropriate individuals. Third, payment of all associated liquor license fees. And 4, satisfactory background check results.
Somebody like to make a motion approving such?
So moved with conditions?
Commissioner Kruger, second.
Second.
Commissioner Vogel, roll call, please.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes.
7D, consideration of a request for a Class A liquor license from Cinergy 111, LLC DBA Cinergy, the new owner of the existing theater at 401 West Dundee Road in the Wheeling Town Center.
This is very exciting. Mr. Svandelis.
This is very exciting indeed. Piggybacking on our last item where we welcomed a new restaurant to our community, this one and the next several are welcoming some significant changes to existing properties that we have in town. First of which being Cinergy Theater, new operator of the movie theater and restaurant at 401 West Dundee in the Wheeling Town Center development. This is a bit of an unveiling, so I guess I would ask, there's a presentation, so instead of listening to me tell you what it's going to be, let's take a look and hear from the petitioner themselves. There are 3 conditions if the commission is willing to make a motion. Those are satisfactory of background check results, submittal of certificate of liquor liability insurance, and submittal of proof of Bassett certification.
Hi there. My name is Cade Pittman. I work for Synergy Entertainment Group.
Okay, who?
Pittman?
Pittman. Sorry, I didn't hear.
Apologize. We are based in Dallas, Texas. We operate family entertainment centers that are anchored with movie theaters nationwide. The family and the group has been in it for a number of years. We've held liquor licenses throughout the United States for over 20 years. And so here in Wheeling, we are taking the former Cinemex location. We will operate it exactly as it was being operated by Cinemex. In coming months, it'll take several months, we will be seeking SUP to transition into offering arcade games. So for clarification, it's not gambling. We are a family entertainment center. It's sort of designed around children, as it were. And so if you go through the presentation, I think that you would see a good glimpse into what we offer and how we operate and how we've operated as a family office for a number of years. This will be our 9th location. We have 3 more locations that we've already completed deals for, so the brand is growing quickly. If you go on to the next slide, you'll see photographs of our existing locations. And in 2019, for the location photograph there, we won the IAPA award for the top family entertainment center in the world. So again, we operate very efficiently and effectively as a family entertainment concept. As you go on through, you'll see the existing portfolio. And again, in addition to that, we have another deal in Kansas, one in South Carolina, and another in Texas that are coming soon and just not reflected there. But as you'll see as you go through, our portfolio is a little mixed. We operate exactly what Cinemex was in Charlotte. We bought a property there, same situation, and operate a cinema eatery and family-friendly environment. Again, as you'll see, it's designed for the entire family, as it were. And if you look through I think the bios of ownership and the C-level executives are in there. You'll see Neil Huffpower, one of our, he was originally the COO. He's no longer the COO, but he was the founder of Main Event. And if you're familiar with that concept, we are a main event and a movie theater under one roof, essentially. That's what we operate. But again, as you go through everyone's bio, you'll see that it's everyone involved is lengthy, significant history in family entertainment and movie exhibition. And so I don't think you'll see anything that we're aiming to do, certainly for the first several months, that's at all different than what Cinemex was doing with their liquor license. It's the very same operation. Our office has been doing that for over 20 years, so we're very, very competent in that regard. And in coming months, you will see us come to apply to have arcade games. Again, no gambling, for clarification there. And that is Cinergy as quickly as I can tell it.
Commissioner Papantos has a question.
Thank you. First of all, welcome to Wheeling.
Thank you.
Happy to have you here. So Cinemax, in one respect, was more adult. I believe after 8 p.m. they didn't allow anybody under 18.
Correct.
I think it was 18. Do you plan to continue that type of concept, or?
No, bear in mind that as it applies to the film industry, that maybe about 30% of the market share every year, top 5 or 6 movies are Disney. So if we don't let anyone in that's, under 18, it wouldn't really be good for the model, frankly. So no, we won't be doing any of that. I would say that we will operate it in a very high level and in a first-class manner. It's a very, very nice facility, as I'm sure you are all very aware, but we're not going to exclude children. It's not. We've never done that anywhere. And
So teenagers can go
Of course.
and be out till 10 o'clock or whatever, and it's not going to be a problem.
Unaccompanied minors will be,
Right.
we manage that, of course, and we'll have security on site. I can't tell you, I don't know if we'll have 1 or 2 or 3 guards or what form, but we'll have security. We have security everywhere. It won't be a loose operation, but yes, we definitely welcome all ages as long as they're accompanied.
And do you plan to keep the same type of menu? Cinemax was, kind of like steak and...
I think our menu will be more casual dining. Somewhat polished. The model, with all due respect to Cinemex and everyone else that's tried it, of fine dining inside of a theater, it's never worked anywhere. It's simply mathematically true. I could prove it up. So we're more family friendly. You're not going to, for a Disney film, you're not going to bring a 9-year-old and serve filet and lobster, and we don't do that. Again, we're more family oriented, I think, than their model.
Great. Thank you, and welcome to Wheeling.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions or comments, so is it going to be more like chicken nuggets and
Well, maybe a little more polished, but yes.
upscale chicken nuggets?
Someplace in between.
Okay, so everybody can talk.
Thank you all.
Thank you. If there are no other questions or comments, then we need a motion for 7D.
So moved with conditions.
Commissioner Papantos, second.
Second.
Commissioner Vogel, roll call, please.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes, and that would, of course, be with the conditions as outlined earlier.
Hang on, it's working out. Okay, I'll read E and F together, correct?
Sure. Yes, please.
Okay. 7E, consideration of a request for a Class B liquor license from CESAM LLC, DBA Westtown Bakery, a proposed restaurant at 781 North Milwaukee Avenue. 7F, consideration of a request for a Class D4 liquor license from CESAM LLC, DBA Westtown Bakery, a proposed restaurant at 781 North Milwaukee Avenue.
Claim jumpers, right, Mr. Spondilis? Or
Was.
Twin Peaks? Claim jumpers in Twin Peaks, that's exactly right. 7E and 7F both relate to the property at 781 North Milwaukee. 7E specifically is a request for a Class B restaurant liquor license from Westtown Bakery, who will occupy the site formerly taken by Twin Peaks and before that Claim Jumper. The petitioner is here who can give a little more detail about the bakery itself. The first item, 7E, does have 3 conditions. First, the passage of an ordinance by the Board of Trustees authorizing the creation of a new Class B liquor license. Second, the submittal of Bassett certificates for all appropriate individuals. And third, satisfactory background check results. I'd also like to add, if I may, for 7F, should the Commission have any questions, just so we could address them all at once. 7F is a request for a Class D4, which is supplemental packaged liquor. This is become quite common, particularly since the onset of the pandemic, which allows restaurants to sell packaged liquor for consumption off premises. So that is 7F, and the two items that are before you. I believe the petitioner is here. Excellent. If you would step forward, please.
What's your name, please?
My name's Scott Weiner.
Excuse me, sir, can you step closer to the mic? Thank you.
Scott Weiner.
Thank you.
Commissioner Papantos has a question.
Yes, thank you. When I first read the concept, I was a little confused because I wasn't sure I really wanted a Manhattan with my Danish. But then I looked at your menu and other places, and it does look reasonable. How do your Chicago locations also have liquor licenses?
Yes, every single Westtown bakery does have a liquor license.
And do a lot of people want a Manhattan with their Danish? Sorry.
Well, I do, but it's more of the mimosas, Bloody Marys, a lot of the beers with the orange juice. But also the Westtown bakeries are open, into the day at lunch. So, some of the locations will serve a patty melt, and, it's a standard restaurant diner fare.
Okay, so you'll be serving that kind of food also? A lunch fare kind of, or?
There will always be lunch. There will always be lunch there 7 days a week.
Great.
And the menu, it's a unique location, a unique concept. So the menu will evolve as the concept does. But yeah, our hope is to have people in that building, till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Oh, I think you have a great location for it. On the D4, the package sales, what do you anticipate what people would be going in to buy?
So in the facility, there is a place where you can go in there, buy your Danish or your muffin, and there'll be a counter where you can get, a cooler where you can pick up, beverages that aren't opened by the bartender. So you can grab a Danish, a coffee, and a sparkling Topo Chico with the alcohol and sit down at a table.
Great. And welcome to Wheeling.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Papantos. So we're going to take these one at a time. I would need other conditions on 7E, Mr. Spondelis?
Yes, 7E with the three conditions.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Commissioner Papantos, second.
Second.
Commissioner Vito?
Vito. Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes, that leaves us with 7F.
With two conditions, the first being issuance of a primary liquor license to the applicant, and second, the passage of an ordinance by the Board of Trustees authorizing the creation of a new Class D4 liquor license.
Motions?
So moved.
Commissioner Vogel, second.
Second.
Commissioner Papantos, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes. Congratulations. Welcome to town.
Thank you.
That concludes the business for the Liquor Commission for the evening. I'd like a motion to adjourn into regular session.
So moved.
Commissioner Kruger, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Liquor Commission adjourned. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Village of Wheeling for June 6, 2022. We've already done the pledge. Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Give me 1 second. Excuse me, it's not letting me add my roll call. Okay. Trustee Kruger?
Present.
Trustee Vito?
Here.
Trustee Papantos?
Present.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
President Horker?
Here.
Trustees Langen Rafato and Clerk Breeder absent with prior notice.
You have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of May 16th. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Trustee Vogel?
Hang on 1 second. It's
Okey-doke.
not letting me start. Yeah, I got to go back.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Okay, minutes were,
Motion was made by Trustee Vogel, and we don't have a
Second.
second there. We have a second by Trustee Papantos.
okay,
Roll call.
here we go, thank you. Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Any changes to the agenda, Mr. Spondilis?
There are no changes this evening.
Excellent. Proclamations, we have none. Appointments and confirmations. It is my pleasure to recommend to the board Michelle Myer to the vacant seat of the Planning Commission. Could I have a motion for that appointment?
So moved.
Trustee Papantos?
Second.
Second.
Trustee Krueger.
Trustee Krueger? Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, Ms. Myer will be sworn at a later date. I would like to thank her again for taking the opportunity to serve her community. That brings us to citizens' concerns and comments. Do we
There are
have
none.
anybody?
There are none.
Staff reports, we have none. And we have the consent agenda then.
All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A,
I'm ready.
resolution waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the purchase and installation of new fire department radio equipment with Radicom Incorporated at a cost not to exceed $43,265.99. 11B, awarding a 6-month extension to Kilcoyne's Redwood Inn, Inc. at 342 North Milwaukee Avenue to complete the work covered by the Restaurant and Retail Build-Out Assistant Grant awarded on June 21st, 2021. 11C, resolution awarding a 6-month extension to Old Munich Tavern at 582 North Milwaukee Avenue to complete the work covered by the Restaurant and Retail Build-Out Assistant Grant awarded on June 21st, 2021. 11D, resolution approving a contract with Builders Concrete LLC for the London Pedestrian Bridge Maintenance Project in the amount of $57,915 in fiscal year 2022. 11E, resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code 2022 MFT Street Improvement Program. 11F, resolution approving a supplemental resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code and a supplemental engineering services agreement with Ciorba Group, Inc. in the amount of $48,393 for the Phase 1 Wheeling Road Improvements, project number 21.11.03. 11G, resolution approving a 1-year contract extension with Patriot Pavement Maintenance for the FY 2022 crack sealing program in the amount not to exceed $39,998.90. 11H, resolution approving a 1-year contract extension with Corrective Asphalt Materials LLC for the asphalt surface treatment program in an amount not to exceed $74,970 in fiscal year 2022. I, resolution approving the change order number 1 and final to increase the tree inventory project contract with Great Lakes Urban Forestry Management from $24,700 to $27,634 in fiscal year 2022. 11J, resolution of the Village of Wheeling in support of the tax increment financing. 11K, ordinance amending Chapter 4.32 of the Village's Wheeling Municipal Code, alcoholic liquor dealers, specifically Sections 4.32.085, to increase the authorized number of Class B, V, and D4 liquor licenses, and to decrease the authorized number of Class NV liquor licenses. 11L, ordinance amending 4.32 alcoholic liquor dealers of the Village of Wheeling's Municipal Code to make event spaces eligible for the Class J liquor license.
Any questions or comments relative to the consent? If there are none, I would need a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Trustee Vogel, second.
Second.
Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Okay. Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos? Sorry.
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. That brings us to new business.
No old business. 13A, discussion, plan unit development concept review, 300 West Dundee Road.
Mr. Spondilis.
Thank you. As the title indicates, before you this evening is a concept review for a new project at 300 West Dundee. Just a little explanation about what a concept review is. We go through a process that is the same every time we have a concept review, so there's equity among projects, and that begins with a brief description. The current request is for a non-binding approval of the proposed PUD review. Feedback by the board will be used by the development team as a guide in the preparation of the formal development plan. The outcome of this evening shall not constitute a formal approval or denial of the application. The decision by the board tonight is non-binding and shall not prevent the applicant from moving forward with a formal application. We'll begin this evening with a presentation by Director Clicker, who will provide a project overview and introduction of the petitioner. The petitioner can then present their project to the board. Director Clicker will then give any zoning, special use, or site plan concerns. The board will then have an opportunity to ask the petitioner any questions or request further discussion. And at the end of the conversation, the following question will be asked of the village board. Is the board in favor of the concept plan for the proposed PUD proceeding to the Plan Commission for review? With that, Director Clicker, if you would introduce the project.
Thank you. Before you tonight is Turk Walker Ventures, LLC. They're presenting this concept review for a planned unit development on the 10.35 acres of land located along the north side of Dundee in between Northgate and Community Boulevard. The PUD concept consists of 379 residential units, 335 of which will be apartments in a centrally located 5-story high-rise building wrapped around an internal parking garage, and 49 units will be townhomes on the eastern portion of the site. Also on the western portion of the site, there would be a 10,000 square foot inline retail and residential amenities for the apartment complex, or for the overall development, not just the apartment complex. With that, the petitioner is here. They are being represented by Mr. Shapiro, and I'll let him take it from there. Oh,
It's a good thing if you get if you trump the attorney. Good evening. Thanks. We're excited to be here. My name's Mark Korinsky. I'm with HCAM Architects and Planners. Little background, very brief about us. You've seen a lot of projects around. You guys have this neat activity going on with Wheeling Town Center and Uptown 500. We would have loved to have been involved in those. We looked at the project, and everybody did, and you got some great development there, and we want to just add to that. We did 444 Social, just north of us, of you guys, up in Lincolnshire, directly east on Dundee, over in Northbrook. We were involved in North Shore 770, mid-rise, a little higher than this, what we've got proposed. We've done other ones in Wisconsin. We've got a big one in Ann Arbor, so we're very familiar with the product and what's going on. We're here before you, as was mentioned, for concept review. We're looking for feedback from you in terms of this. We've met with staff numerous times, and they've been great and guided us. We started, and we had about half of the site under our control. I think the term was not a half a sandwich. So the first challenge we had was you really need to control the whole site. So we're here before you tonight in control of the whole just over 10-acre site. We know that the village owns a key piece of it as well, but I'm just counting the whole that we are collectively control the whole piece. We were also directed by staff, go look at the comprehensive plan, specifically look at, station area, because you have done a lot of work over the years in terms of what you want and what your vision is for this area. And then the last piece we were recommended is there should be some commercial here. We had a very candid conversation early on. Does the village want this to be completely commercial? Because that's not what we don't think is appropriate, but we just wanted to know right off. And they said, no, but we do think that some commercial component is key for this piece. So what we have before you tonight is a combination of two different types of residential and commercial. And we think it's a great complement and will support the existing, what you've already started directly across the street with Uptown 500, but more importantly, or as importantly, with the retail that you have and the new revamping of the theater and the like, which we're excited to hear about as well in the town center. So the first part was commercial, and there's a concept plan. These massing plans don't probably show you much, but we were trying to show you, you did a lot of work when you were doing the station area plan about massing and working, I think it was with fire, in terms of what's the appropriate use here. So we were trying to show you that we read it and we listened into it. But if you look at the concept plan, the hardest part is the retail. You guys know the site. Access is going to be key. And the challenge with retail is access. The ICSC show just ended a couple weeks ago with the big, everybody chasing retail, and retail is very fluid and in flux, but there are certain things that don't change with retail. One is visibility. Two is parking. You need to have parking that's visible and relating to the front door of the retail. And then three is access. You need to have people an easy way to get in and get out of the retail. The challenge we have on this site, and it was mentioned in the station plan area, is they wanted unified access. Well, we have access literally at that signal, if I turn, 40 degrees to the right, at the intersection with the post office. So there's a signal there. So we have full access to the 10 acres. We also have the potential for full access opposite the Uptown 500 entrance on Northgate. But other than that, the best we're going to get for this site, regardless of the use, is going to be limited access, and by that I mean write-ins or write-ins and write-outs on Dundee. So we had to look at that, and that's where the retail started. So if you look at that orangish red at the corner, we said the most important place for retail is closest to the corner of the entrance to One Wheeling Town Center and Northgate and Dundee. So that's where we put it. Notice it all faces Dundee Road. So you could see the signage, people can see it and notice. Anybody going west, very easy. They can pull in, there's parking in front. We're clicking off all the boxes what we need to do with the retail. And then they can get back out. They can back out of their spot, and then they can proceed going west. It's a little more challenge if they're coming from the west going east. But we've got the two signals, and we provided circulation to get people to somewhat simply wayfind into the commercial area. We looked at what's across the street and talking with staff. This retail is tucked underneath the rest of the residential building, much like what you see at Uptown 500. So it's integrated. It's not a series of outlots. That's not necessarily the way that a lot of developers like to do it. They like to just sort of bifurcate it and separate it. But from a village standpoint, it makes a much more dynamic plan and much more integrated plan. So we came with that and said, okay, what do we have? Now what you have, the rest of that purple, and the roof will not be purple. We just did it so you can show it on the plan. That's a well, if you want it purple, we're here to listen. So we'll figure something out. 6 stories. It's you've heard the term, whether you like it or not, a Texas wrap, a donut. We heard about, you won't have alcohol, but there's bakery or something. But basically, it hides all the parking. And it's an effective way to hide all the parking and get covered parking for most of the residents. It's a 6-story, just like you see at Uptown 500. We also have the challenge of Dundee Road. So we needed to be realistic that you have very big setbacks on Dundee Road. This building has a really nice presence, but it's set back from Dundee Road. Even the post office is somewhat set back, but it's a small footprint. So we've got courtyards facing onto Dundee Road. So we're trying to minimize for the residents living there that they don't live directly on Dundee Road, but there's still a presence. We're still proud of the building. The entrance to the main building, that purple building, is up north towards the full access on Northgate Parkway. That way, a couple things happen. We can create this really dynamic entrance. You can see there's a turnaround, a lay-by. Somebody can pick up an Uber, be dropping off a guest or whatever, but as importantly, we're not competing with those same cars that the retail people are competing with. So we're trying to separate those two uses out. As was mentioned, there's about 333 units or 335-ish units in there. We know that there's this great aquatic center across the street. These buildings still need some sort of a social hub and activity. So you see we have a pool. Conceptually, we're thinking there might even be a section of a lap pool. Not that it will be necessarily heavily used as lap, but aquatics are huge and morning walking. And, it's really great, and we're seeing a lot of demand for that. We're not seeing a big demand for bocce courts and all that, so we don't draw those. But the other thing you see is on the far right is townhomes. Rental townhomes are one of the biggest plays going on that we see right now, not only in the Chicagoland area in the Midwest, but nationwide, even rental single-family homes, if you've been watching the news. It is an upscale product from the already upscale condos or condo-style apartments. These apartments all have granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. The people that are renting here, for the most part, are renting by choice. They're renting because they say either I don't want to commit all my money or I don't have the money because I'm still paying off student loans or whatever. But these are upscale, and the rent rates are going to be right at the same that you're seeing at Uptown and One Wheeling. So then you look and say, okay, now there's another market out there for rental townhomes. So this is another step up. So what's going on with that is you either have people that are moving into the area and are either starting to have kids or thinking about a family, but they don't want to commit to a house or can't find a house, but they want to move in, but they want it to live more like a house than live like a apartment complex. So they are looking at that. The other way is the inverse. Somebody has sold their house in town, they still like the neighborhood, they still like the place of worship, the restaurants, everything else. They still want to be in town, but they're selling their house. They want to downsize. And we're looking and seeing rent by choice for that as well. So they're all rear-loaded alley. So we've got the little pocket parks and entrances. We've created 2 streets right there. And if you see, it's parallel parking on the street. So a place for the guests, wayfinding for the guests. And then we also have a combination of units conceptually. Some of them, they all have 2 cars. Some of them have 2 cars side by side. And some of them are narrower to keep the unit's square footage down, so the pricing becomes a little better, where it's a tandem, so 1 car parked in front of the other. Again, it's a concept. I can't tell you what the architecture looks like because we have no idea, because we haven't gotten that far. We're looking for you guys for feedback at a conceptual level. I know it'll look great, but I can't tell you what it's going to look like. You've got some really dynamic architecture that isn't taking a certain theme with your character in the downtown now, and we'd be going through that whole process. So what we're here for tonight is literally the concept of, we think we did a market study. I think we'll probably update it because it's about a year old and the market keeps changing. I think it's just going to show that there's even more of a demand. But we think that there's a great complement of this use to help support One Wheeling Town Center, and there's a demand and it would help with the community. So that's the nickel tour. I can talk way more than that. But anyway, we'd love to hear your comments.
Mr. Spendelis.
Director Clicker, did you have anything to add on zoning or special use site plan issues?
Just that this would be a planned unit development in the town center district, and that if this concept were to proceed forward to preliminary PUD, we would need to further evaluate the site layout and circulation and refine parking, access, traffic flow, landscaping, and the overall layout. But in general.
And President Horker, at the end of the conversation, if you would, I do have a couple of items that the 2 absent trustees have asked for me to bring up if no one else has. So at the end, if I could do that, that would be great.
Just remind me. Commissioner Papantos has something, and then Trustee Kruger.
Thank you. I need somebody who can, excuse me. First of all, thank you for bringing the project to Wheeling. It's very exciting, especially since we'll be looking at a lot of it on a regular basis when we're up here. Do you plan to do this in one phase, get the whole thing done?
Yeah, it's not, I mean, things will come online differently, but this project, you would start it all at the same time. That's our vision.
Okay, and you're going to use Community Boulevard as an access point for, that's what it's there for?
Yes. And what we did is, using Community Boulevard as an extension, turning it into a street, you can see right now, it's just a wide chunk of asphalt as you go north. So we're actually putting parallel parking. Then we continued along the creek and treated the street along the creek as a street as well, so you can actually go to get to North Bay Parkway. So we didn't so we took the creek and treated it as sort of a public place as well, versus just putting our back to it or making it into private yards.
And I mean, this is concept, so from 30,000 feet, it's great, but you do know that that's floodway and floodplain.
Our attorney's here. He's going to run out, and hopefully we don't need to get into something where he has to start stamping. We've conceptually talked to traffic. We've conceptually talked to our engineer. So at 10,000 feet, we're very aware of everything. We've had a survey done, so we know where the lines are. We need to get into all that in detail, but we've at least looked at it to say, yeah, we're aware and we don't see any, fatal flaws with anything yet.
Great. And just off the top of your head, what do you think the retail will be, or what are you going to market?
Oh, gosh, I wish I knew. We don't know. We're having conversations whether we should put black pipe in or not, which then says you can start to have restaurants or not. But we're at that level. We don't want to steal anything, and that's always the challenge with retail. The worst thing we do is come in and steal something from the town center, because that doesn't help you guys. It just puts an empty space someplace else. So we just don't know. We know what we're trying to do is tee it up to be the most flexible and viable retail.
And the rental townhomes, are they long-term lease, short-term, or monthly, or just, I know that's probably too detailed for a concept.
It's a really great question. No, it's a really great question. We're seeing more and more demand for longer term, because people say, hey, I love this, but I want to know what the rate is going to be. I'll even take an escalator. But so we're starting to see 24, 36-month rent on things like that, because people are really treating it as a home. We have not gotten into that level of the weeds, other than we are seeing it in the market, because people say, I've hung all my pictures, I've done all this, I want to stay here.
I just didn't want to see like a month to month unless it was
That is not the intent.
Weird situation. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Kruger?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr.
You can
Karinsky?
Yes.
Okay. Caught a couple of buzzwords in your presentation. You had said luxury apartment. So that to me says a certain kind of clientele. And I was wondering, with your building, would you be considering, or are you already considering green energy components, LEED certifications, not necessarily solar, but perhaps auto charging stations available to your residents?
Yes, we are considering all of that. And as you are aware, whether it's LEED or it's green energy or whatever, the energy codes have tightened things up, so you're complying. But we always look to go beyond that.
Right.
There's a whole side conversation about charging stations, because everybody's trying to figure out how you do it right now.
Right.
A building we did 5 or 8 years ago had 0 charging stations. One you did 2 years ago had 10. Now the market's even more. So yes, we need them for our own tenants.
I would think so. Some of your tenants might have
Exactly.
Teslas and other electric or hybrid cars and are going to need some place to charge them. So even if you, at the development stage, are sort of preparing for that, you don't necessarily put them in yet, but you're ready for it when it's time to say, here we have another great amenity.
The townhomes will probably all be wired for level 2 charging.
Okay.
It gets more dicey, or a little more of a challenge in the deck, because you want somebody to charge, but you don't want them to park then overnight when they're not charging. Correct. So different people are playing with, do we have 2 spaces and I share and I alternate days? Now if I put a third person in, so it's a fluid conversation.
Good to hear you're thinking about it and, keep that fluidity going. I think that's where the whole nation is going to be going, and I would love for Wheeling to become a benchmark for that kind of building. Lastly, you mentioned garages. I didn't catch, was it 1 or 2 garages on those townhomes?
Yes. So there's a wider unit, which is about 2,000 square feet, which has a 2-car side-by-side garage. There's a narrower unit that's about 15, 16 feet wide that has a garage, but and the second one in front. So it's a tandem, they call it. So it's still a 2-car garage, but one car's parked in front of the other.
Okay.
So you have to get along with your roommate or spouse and figure out who moves car more.
Who moves the car around?
So you still get the benefit of the 2-car, but we're seeing that that's somewhat acceptable because it's still a rental, upscale, but it's a rental versus a purchase.
I imagine at the Plan Commission level, they'll flesh a lot of that out for you. So I'll be looking forward to that. Lastly, on the commercial element, I know you said you have no idea what's going in there. But I would imagine something service-oriented that somehow supports your tenants, as well as the tenants in your neighboring communities of Uptown 500 and 1 and Northgate Parkway.
Yeah, and I'm hesitant. We used to do a lot of retail, and I'm hesitant. I don't want to mislead you. I don't want to say if we build it, they're going to come or whatever. I would think it's going to be a mix. I would think that you could have, we don't have a drive-through, but you already have the Starbucks across the street. But we didn't plan for a drive-through because we didn't think it fit in the character. But hopefully it's not all service, and probably a combination of both.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Kruger. Trustee Vito?
Yeah, so you alluded to the half sandwich thing that Ken Brady talked about a long time ago. Did you guys actually acquire the full sandwich, or is there contingent contracts to get all the property?
We have an agreement with, well, see, you asked the lawyer, and now the lawyer's not here. I'm not,
Okay.
for the record, I'm not playing lawyer up here. We have agreements in place to control all of it. You guys control one wedge, but conceptually, we're having agreements in place, yes.
Okay. I like the concept. Just a little concern is more for the board in general. It's just to have kind of the retail sales tax producing requirements in these newer developments. We're just running out of retail sales tax producing things. So I mean, to have an accountant or a lawyer or a dentist or someone in there, you know, to not have such a heavily based requirement on retail sales tax might help with occupancy. Well, I think it will for sure, but I think that's something we got to consider moving forward, just in general with these developments. Even though, I mean, we all want the retail sales tax, obviously, but it's not feasible, I don't think, so that's all.
Reality sometimes doesn't mesh with
Sometimes.
desire. Any other questions or comments? Trustee Vogel?
More question for staff. With the road now coming out or going out to Northgate Parkway, will there be a light requirement there? Or?
I don't envision that there would be a light. If you do look, the access point that they have on there on Northgate Parkway does line up with the entrance that will be created for the Uptown. So if a light were to become a requirement, it could easily, not easily, but there is a logical location for it. I don't believe that the traffic volumes would warrant it, though.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Vogel. There were several concerns raised. I do realize this is more broad stroke concept review, but I would expect that through the future steps of the process, things like the IDOT approval, deceleration lane, potential deceleration lanes, stormwater accountability, various elevations and pretty pictures of what the buildings are going to look like, as well as any TIF impact would be addressed after this, but before we have to make any serious decisions. Not that this is not a serious decision, but that's really all I have. You have to say something.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring up a couple of the concerns that Trustee Rufato and Trustee Lang had mentioned to me. Some of these have been addressed, so these are more just comments for you to take back coming from those two absent trustees. There was a concern that perhaps the project is a little too dense and there's a lack of green space. Although there's some scattered about, something to consider as you go into your final plan. And a request, and this was mentioned, you mentioned about using the creek to your advantage. That was one of the priorities that was mentioned to me. And you had talked about the need for rental space, rental units. One of the trustees would like to see, at least have a conversation about some ownership opportunities within the development as well. So those are just comments. Again, they didn't have the opportunity to hear your explanation. So those were given to me in advance. So just some things to consider as you move forward, if you move forward. That's it. Thank you.
Okey doke. So, community development, Ross Clicker, you're going to address the zoning stuff as this moves forward.
Correct.
So the question to ask to the trustees is the board in favor of the concept plan for the proposed PUD proceeding to the Plan Commission for review? And Deputy Clerk, could you just poll the board?
Sure. Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papanos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Go get them.
Thank you very much.
13B.
Yeah, I got to read a bunch of them. Hold on, let me record this first. So I'm reading B through E.
Yes.
Okay.
You want to do all, you wanted to read B through E?
That's my
Did you just
understanding.
say that?
Yes, that's my correct.
So I
that's my
need hearing
understanding.
aid. Okay.
13B, ordinance granting major site plan and building appearance approval for a building addition, Masters Countertops, 363 Alice Street, docket number 2021-27. 13C, ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to reduce the required side yard setback for Masters Countertops, 363 Alice Street, docket number 2021-23A. 13D, ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to reduce the required yard setback for Masters Countertops, 363 Alice Street, dock number 2021-23B. 13E, ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to reduce the minimum number of required off-street parking spaces for Masters Countertops, 363 Alice Street, docket number 2022-15.
Mr. Clicker, at first blush, this seemed so simple. And then it didn't. What do we have?
What you have before you is a request from the petitioner, Masters Countertop, to construct a building addition to enclose their storage yard for their stone countertops that they offer out there. This would, because they're using the parking lot now for storage though, but they would be enclosing it, the setbacks are in question and would require some variations to be constructed. There is also obviously the appearance review aspect of this and the site plan review, and also it is a parking variation based on the square footage, number of parking spaces is needed. However, especially the parking variation, that was felt to be appropriate to request since, as you can see, the applicant uses the parking lot as storage as it is right now, and there is not a parking issue at this location. So what you have before you is a request for the site plan and appearance, a rear yard setback, and a side yard setback, along with the parking variation. All four did receive recommendations of approval from the Plan Commission. And on the appearance and site plan review, there were 3 conditions that were placed on that approval, or recommendation for approval, and that would be that 1, an application for sign permit for the wall sign shall be submitted to the Department of Community Development for staff review and issuance prior to the issuance of a building permit for the building addition. 2, the fence on the rear property line shall be removed and not replaced. And 3, the trash containers shall be relocated to behind the access gate fronting Alice Street and shall not be permitted to remain in their current location in front of the gate. As I said, with those conditions, the Plan Commission did recommend approval of all 4 of those requests.
Thank you, Mr. Clicker. Trustee Pontos, you had some questions. Should we do this, should we have the discussion en masse and then the approvals at the end?
Yeah.
Excellent. Trustee Pontos?
Thank you. Do we have a petitioner? I guess not. On the setback, I am concerned about going from a 17-foot setback to 0 feet. And I'm sorry, Chief McGrill, to put you on the spot, but for public safety, are we okay with that kind of reduction to nothing?
That is quite a bit of setback, and we did have concerns prior to the meeting. So we always like to, there's setbacks for a reason. And there is no access to the back of that building if it's up against the property line, someone else's property. But I will note that the petitioner did agree to sprinkle, it's basically a warehouse, even though it's not heated, so he'd have to do it with a dry system, which is expensive. So he did agree to that.
So that will be done? I mean, we won't permit unless that's part of it?
Correct.
And public safety can live with that then?
You are putting me on the spot, so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can live with that.
Okay.
Glowing endorsement.
Pardon me?
Glowing endorsement.
It is a concern. It's going from, what happens. And one of my questions, I guess, was for the petitioner during the build-out. What are they going to do with all their material when they're trying to build and the material is sitting?
I do believe that their material does rotate fairly frequently, so they would either just delay deliveries or not reorder when they're going through their product. But if they need to relocate, that's their, they will find locations to relocate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Anybody else? I actually did have some questions about this one. Specifically, I had concerns about the zero setback on the west side, 17 to 0. I forget which packet it was in, but in one of the packets they mentioned that this would not adversely impact any of the neighboring properties, which I found to be inaccurate, because if they build their warehouse extension up to the property line, and you have to be, or you try to be equitable and fair to everyone, you would seem that you should be required to allow the neighbor to the west, the irrigation place, to also build to the property line.
It's their outdoor storage yard. It is not their building that is up to the property line there. So
it's not a building.
It's not a building. It is an outdoor storage yard.
It's not a structure.
It's not a structure.
Doesn't have to be sprinkled.
The central turf and irrigation? No. Their outdoor storage yard.
If they wanted to cover their outdoor storage yard up to the property line,
then yes, we would be looking at
but there
fire
wouldn't be room between the two
Correct.
to even work on either of the buildings.
Correct.
It would be inequitable to the second in line to allow the first in line to do this, to allow this guy. In my mind,
Correct.
It seems like it's, you were here first, we're going to let
Right.
you build to the property line, but now your neighbor can't do it.
Excuse me. It's not to say that zero lot line zoning isn't done. I mean,
Oh,
there
I know
are.
it's done.
It's done. It can be done.
Lots of things are done. I just have issue with that. And the reasoning here, I'm sure there was a lawyer who wrote this. Where'd he go? That something about because the concrete slab was there, it's a natural progression to put a building on top of it.
That was their argument, yes.
That's fantastic in every definition of the word. I have a problem with that logic as well. I do like the idea of people expanding. I just have, personally, I would like to see access, getting a big smile back there. I do think there needs to be access around a building for, if no other purpose, maintenance, as well as safety vehicles. I mean, there's a reason we have minimum 5-foot setbacks at residential yards. I do have issue with zero setbacks on these, on this building. I love the idea of a business expanding. I do question his logic. I would have no problem with the expansion with more realistic setbacks. And I would go, I made a note somewhere here. I would go to 10 feet as a setback from the 17, because this would allow you some realistic access between buildings if everybody around would expand. But this going to zero, I don't find palatable. But I still only get one vote, so. Anybody, do the setbacks bother anybody enough to change? Looking to my left, Vogel, nah, nobody cares. It's just me, I guess. Oh, well.
I have a problem with the setback too, but if you're suggesting that the setback only be, or that from 0 to 10, then his building is now 28.6, not 38.6? And the petitioner's not here to discuss that.
They were supposed to be,
Sorry?
somebody was supposed to be here, but
I don't know how we.
Are you high?
I don't know how.
He's here?
is there a Danielle Grick? Danielle Grick?
No, my name is Tomas. My attorney wasn't here, so I stepped into all this here.
Oh.
Oh, please come up and introduce yourself.
I can also talk
Excellent. Let's start with your name. Into the microphone, please.
My name is Jadranko Tomas. I'm the building owner and a business owner.
Oh, okay. So my concern really is, I mean, I understand you, I think it's wonderful that you want to expand, but I do think it puts your neighbors into the position of not being able to do what you're doing, and it does limit access to our public safety crews. I mean, would you be amenable to a smaller, a setback as opposed to zero setback? It just doesn't seem safe and fair.
Yeah, I understand exactly what your concern is. There is another concern.
Okay.
The concern is how to unload material into that building when the semi-truck back up with the load.
Sure.
So if we cut from 17 feet to 10 feet offset, that and the parking will be on the right side of the building, there is no room for semi-truck to park inside the building and unload. That's an issue.
You're going to get a semi-truck to jackknife into the back of that building and offset and offload?
Yeah. So that addition in the back, basically, that's a storage area right now. It's
Yes.
going to be just enclosed because of safety and snow.
And fading of the stone.
Yeah, and, fading material and losing and all this stuff. But, the way how it's now done, the semi-truck back up and we manually unload one by one, that big stone slabs.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have that addition in the back, which will hold a 5-ton crane.
Overhead crane with the ice
Correct.
fork.
So
Yeah.
now the truck's going to back up all the way to the back, much as possible, and then we're going to unload whole bundle of the slab, which is 10 pieces together.
Sure.
So that's all reason why we're investing this much money to enclose that and being able to unload, not one by one, to unload multiple slabs. But the biggest concern is now snow. You're keeping open slabs. People want to go to see it. You cannot bring them there because somebody's going to slip and fall. You need to grab the slab, bring inside the building, dry it up, and show the slab, which is terrible for business. So we just want to enclose somehow.
Excuse me, I just need a little bit of clarification. So in the picture that we're looking at, where the slabs are currently, that will be covered, and then the semi will back up?
Correct, all the way to the back fence almost.
To the back, and there'll be overhead doors, I'm assuming?
Correct.
For unload? I mean, you have beautiful product. My counters are from you, so and I want you to be successful too. It's just that zero set. So the 0-foot setback is?
On the right side, looking right now on the back, it's on the right side.
On the right side?
Yeah, we have a setback on the back, 5 feet. So, it was approved from 17 to just a 5. So the fire department can come with the ladder, whatever they need to somehow come to the building.
From the neighbor's property?
Yeah, from the neighbor's property, correct. So we do have that 5 feet in the back. We have a 17 on the left. So we was asking just to not have a setback on the right side. As right now, there is no setback at all anywhere, even in the back on the side. And still, those slabs are not movable in any emergency. Nobody can move, 20 ton of, material in one A-frame. So there is really not big of a difference keeping it as is or having enclosed when we talk about access.
And you are agreeing to do dry sprinkling?
Correct.
Thank you.
Trustee Kruger.
Thank you. Who's your neighbor on the right-hand side where it would be zero setback?
Central Turf and Irrigation.
We don't see any issue with them, this infringing on their property?
Again, the area that it abuts is their outdoor storage yard. They would need, when they do the construction, they will need to get a construction easement from Central Turf so that they can, obviously they can't.
They can build it.
They can't, yeah, so they can actually build the building, so, but.
Are you friends with your neighbor?
Yeah. We do have access on the left side. We also use that 17 feet on the left side of the building, which is now.
On the east side?
Yeah, on the east side. So we can access from that side. And I know both neighbors in the back and the right side. I already talked to them about construction. But we are planning to relocate all of the material at the time of the construction so we can access everything through our yard, which is, most as possible. And I already arranged with a neighbor that have a vacant building across the street for all of the parking, for all of my cars to be parked during the times of construction for around 6 months or so.
Could you describe to me what the issue is with the rain gutter that was coming out?
Rain?
There was a gutter that's coming out, and there was a discussion at the Plan Commission level about it.
The white PVC at the back of your building.
Thank you.
Oh, that's rain, I don't know what the so the problem is that my neighbor in the back, they have all of the water that goes down, it goes down like you can see from the building right in that green area. And because he's higher than my concrete, so all the water goes into the concrete because he doesn't have any drainage toward the street or anything like that. So on the rainy days, we have like a 4-inch of water on the concrete until that water slowly goes away. That was a issue before. But now, since we're going to build the building, we're going to have a foundation, obviously. So there is not going to be, water no more into my property.
So that's going to go away?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to go on his front building.
Does he know that?
I mean, are we okay with displacing water onto your neighbors?
That will be reviewed as part of the engineering aspect of the building permit, that we will not adversely impact the neighbors.
But the neighbors are adversely impacting him right now, so it's...
Yeah, our water, we have a recently built drain through the backyard, and that's going to all the roof water is going to go into my property, so I'm not going to interrupt nobody's property with water. That water is coming from his property for years to my property. That's something that, I just was living with it, but that's going to be resolved now after I build the building there.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I still don't like the setback, but since we've discussed this to the point where we need a vote, we're going to take a vote. So I will be looking for a motion for 13B, granting major site plan and building appearance approval for a building addition, master countertops at 363 Ellis Street. Motion.
Motion with the conditions listed from the Plan Commission.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Vogel, roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Item C, variation from Title 19 to reduce the required side yard setback for master countertops at 363 Alice Street. Motion?
So moved.
Trustee Vogel, second.
Second.
Trustee Papantos, roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
No. Item D, granting a variation from Title 19 to reduce the required rear yard setback for master countertops at 363 Alice Street. I need a motion.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Krueger, roll call.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
No. That brings us to E. Granting a variation from Title 19 to reduce the minimum number of required off-street parking spaces for Masters Countertop at 363 Alice Street. Need a motion?
So moved.
Made by God.
Somebody objects. Trustee Papantos makes the motion. Second.
Second.
Trustee Vogel, roll call.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Congratulations. Good luck.
13F, ordinance granting major site plan and building appearance approval for a new aircraft hangar and office building, Hawthorne Global Aviation Services, 1084 South Milwaukee Avenue, docket number 2022-16.
Mr. Clicker.
Yes, Hawthorne Global Aviation seeks a major site plan and building appearance approval for the construction of a new aircraft hangar building and attached office space, commonly referred to as Phase 2 of the Hawthorne Aviation development, located at 1084 South Milwaukee Avenue. The concept was presented to the village board on January 17th, 2022, and received a favorable review. And at the May 11th Plan Commission meeting, the commission unanimously recommended approval of this request. And there are 4 conditions that were placed upon this approval, or recommendation for approval, and that would be that 1, cast stone sills shall be incorporated on 3 sides of the building, office building, to be consistent with the office building design in Phase 1. 2, manufacturer's specification sheet shall be provided for all external light fixtures with an application for building permit for staff review prior to the issuance of any building permit. 3, a landscape irrigation plan shall be provided with an application for building permit for staff review prior to the issuance of any building permit. And 4, an updated landscape plan with additional plant species shall be submitted to staff for review prior to the village board meeting, and that 4th condition was met.
Thank you, Mr. Clicker. Questions or comments? There are none, so then we need a motion for approval with the conditions.
So moved with the 3 conditions?
Second.
Motion trustee Kruger, second trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
13G, ordinance granting special use approval to permit the operation of a community center, Agua Viva, Wheeling, 537 North Wolf Road, docket number 2022-17.
Mr. Clicker.
Yes, the petitioner Agua Viva Wheeling is seeking special use approval for the operation of a community center at 537 North Wolf Road within the MXI Industrial Mixed Use Zoning District. At the May 11th Plan Commission hearing, the commission unanimously recommended approval of this request.
Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. Is the petitioner just,
So just, oh, there she is, okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Gisela, and I'm a member of Agua Viva.
thank you. On the parking, when you have meetings or gatherings there, are they going to be only at night so the shared parking from the office building can be used? Or is there going to be a problem during the day if each client comes in a separate car?
The meetings are usually in the evening, so it's from 7 to probably like 9:30. And usually it has never been an issue because most of the businesses around, they're gone by that time.
Are you open during the day?
No, we're not.
Oh, okay. So that solves the problem right there. Thank you.
No problem.
I'm sorry, can you please spell your name for me?
Gisela.
And your last name?
Martinez, M-A-R. Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Any other questions? If there are not, I need a motion for approval.
Thank you.
So moved.
Motion trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee
Vito. It was a tie
Vito?
between Vito and Kruger.
Vito got it?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
13H. Hang on, let me
Waggles.
save this. Hold on. Ordinance granting special use, I'm the wrong, ordinance granting special use approval to permit the operation of an animal training facility, Waggles Pet Resort, 500 West Hintz Road, docket number 2022-18.
Mr. Clicker.
Yes, you may remember Waggles Pet Resort did receive an approval for a location elsewhere in town just last year. We're pleased to announce that they've been wildly successful and actually need a new location to offer training services, dog training services to their clientele. So they're seeking a special use for a dog training facility at 500 West Hintz Road within the I-1 Light Industrial Office Zoning District. At the May 11th Plan Commission meeting, the Commission unanimously recommended approval of this request.
Questions or comments? Trustee Papantos?
Right, is petitioner?
I'm guessing the lady all smiling here.
The only one.
Hi, I'm Carrie, I'm the manager. The owner, Ross, unfortunately has COVID, but he's on the phone.
I think we're okay. When I read the packet, it indicated that the dogs come and stay with you for...
They come and stay at the main location, at the 419 Harvester, and then they're going to go to the training facility for the day to train, and then come back to the building.
And how long is this training?
2 to 3 weeks generally.
Boy, my old dog would have killed me.
We make it a lot of fun.
You'd have to. And so people won't be dropping their dogs off at this facility?
Correct. We will be doing evaluations there. Each dog is required to do an evaluation beforehand, but that'll only be 1 or 2 people at a time. And then they'll also be doing their follow-up lessons where we teach them what their dog now knows. But again, it'll be 1 to 2 people at a time, and it'll be by appointment only.
And how, have you done this before at other locations, or?
No, this is our first time.
Okay, so I was just going to ask what your success rate is with dogs, or?
For me personally, great success rate. This facility, we've done a few pilot dogs, and they've done fantastic.
Great. And do you target towards specific age of dogs, like?
Can't teach all dogs.
That's
not true. Just takes a little longer.
So, but is it?
It's not targeted towards a specific age of dogs. It's mostly obedience, beginning basic obedience.
Great.
Sit, come, stay.
Thank you.
Carrie, can you spell your last name, please?
Nordlund.
Trustee Kruger has a question.
Thanks. You kind of answered it. My question was going to be, what are you training? Are you?
The basic obedience behaviors.
And you train it without the owner, and then you train the owner after the dog's already figured it out?
Correct.
Okay. It's not how I've trained dogs before. It's typically a walk around in a circle a million times with your dog and teach your dog how to sit.
Well, we do the walking around in the circle for you.
Right. I've always been taught that the dog training is not really for the dog as much as it is for the owner. So I different philosophy, but if you've got a track record and it's for your doggy daycare participants, right? I mean, like, how would anyone? Could I bring my dog there if I had a problem with my dog? It jumps too much, right? So
it'd be something that we would set up an evaluation for first, that you go through with the trainer and see if it is something that fits within our program.
Got it. So, and you will market this through your website or mostly through your?
I'm going to defer that to Ross.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
I did. Hi, everyone. Are you able to hear me, or should Carrie repeat my answer?
We got you. We got you, Ross.
Oh, great. We're going to start by marketing to our existing customer base, both through emails and in the facility, but it's our hope that word will spread widely. We'll probably run Google and Facebook ads on it, and maybe eventually put it on our truck. But while we'll first market it towards existing customers, this program will be open to all customers, even people who do not use our existing services.
That's what I wanted to get at. Thank you very much, Ross. Appreciate it.
Sorry I can't be there. I really, really wanted to be.
We want you to be healthy, Ross. Take care of yourself, and I think I'm done with my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. Any other questions or comments?
I forgot to add that there was one condition at the Plan Commission, and that would be that there shall be no animal kenneling or boarding at any time at the subject site. All kenneling and boarding shall only occur at the Waggles Pet Resort facility located at 419 Harvester.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, one more. Are you transporting those dogs from Harvester in your truck?
Yes.
Got it.
We have 2 Mercedes Metris that are outfitted for traveling with the dogs.
Fair enough. Thanks.
If there are no other questions or comments, we need a motion for approval.
So moved with the condition as stated.
Trustee Papantos, a second.
Second.
Trustee Kruger, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. There you
Thank
go.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
13I, ordinance granting special use approval to permit the operation of an adult-use cannabis dispensary, 781 North Milwaukee Avenue, CESAM LLC, docket number 2022-19.
Mr. Clicker.
Yes, the petitioner CESAM LLC is seeking a special use for the operation of a cannabis dispensary at 781 North Milwaukee Avenue within the MXC Commercial Residential Mixed-Use Zoning District. At the Plan Commission hearing on May 25th, the Commission recommended approval of this request. There were 2 conditions placed on it, and that would be that 1, the special use for the operation of cannabis dispensary does not permit the on-site consumption of cannabis and/or cannabis-related products, and 2, prior to any exterior building and/or facade modifications, including but not limited to painting, shall be first reviewed by the Plan Commission. This does not apply to any landscaping replacements in adherence with the approved landscape plans. Again, this was recommended for approval at the Plan Commission.
Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. Hi. I watched the Plan Commission, so you don't have to go through your whole business outline, but a couple of my questions or requests. The landscaping there really needs work, so please clean it up. And welcome to Wheeling. I should have said that first, and thank you for coming in here. How long do you think it'll take for you to be ready to be operational?
We've, this is Aman Pawar, he speaks on behalf of the dispensary. However, we think we could be operational by December.
Okay, so roughly 9 months or six months?
It could be very soon. We've submitted our building permits from what I understand, the dispensary as well as the bakery. Construction could begin as soon as July 15th, I think is the date, or 18th. I think that's a Monday. And if all goes well, this could be open in December.
Great, thank you.
Trustee Vogel.
Yeah, the common entrance, go left for the dispensary, go right for the bakery. What stops a teenager from going left into the dispensary? Is there somebody there at the door, or?
Sure, yes. Well, no unaccompanied minor, so no one under 21 who's unaccompanied will be in this building, for one. Secondly...
Including the bakery?
Including the bakery.
Okay, all right. That answers my question.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
But the security is mandated by the state, so nobody can go back and forth without going through camera, ID checks, and a security guard.
Okay. Thank you.
If there are no, Trustee Vito.
Do you know where the nearest dispensary is, like to the north and to the east? I mean, because obviously you got one to the west in town here.
Sure.
And
you have Hatch 2.3 miles away to the west. You've got Rise on Milwaukee Avenue at Gulf Mill. You've got Sunnyside just to the north of us in Buffalo Grove. If you want to go to the east, you've got the Curaleaf in Northbrook over on Dundee, and another 185 or 90 to go surrounding the communities.
okay, you don't think there's a saturation in the area for them, or like too many?
At this time, I do not.
You're not worried about the proximity to Hatch?
No, I think that there's a lot of demand for the services at this time. Ask me in a year, but I don't think so.
Okay. No other questions? If we have no other questions or comments, we do, there are 2 conditions. Special use for the operation of a cannabis dispensary does not permit the on-site consumption of cannabis. That was already read. Prior to any exterior building, that was already read by Mr. Quicker as well.
So moved with the 2 conditions.
Second.
Motion Trustee Kruger, second Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Good luck.
Thank you.
Official communications. We have not met in a long time. There's been a lot going on in the world in that time. One of the things that happened was our former police chief, Michael Hager, died. Michael Hager was 75, lived in Lisle. He passed away Tuesday, May 11th, at Edward Hospital in Naperville. He was born May 10th, 1947 in Aurora. Michael was a graduate of Marmion Military Academy in Aurora, St. Benedict's College in Atchison, Kansas. He earned a master's degree from Lewis University. He served as Deputy Chief of Police in Woodridge, Illinois, and then as the Chief of Police in Wheeling for 16 years, until his retirement. He then worked for the DuPage County Circuit Court for several more years. He was a past president of Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police and a committee member of the Illinois Police Officers Memorial. He was a resident of Villa St. Benedict's in Lisle and a member of the Knights of Columbus. Chief Hager served this community for a long time, and he was the police chief during an interesting time. It was the 60s and 70s, or 70s and 80s. He was here when I was here first. So that would have been the 90s, 80s and 90s. I'm getting
He was here when
old.
I began as well.
But it is a shame. He was, he served the community. He clearly loved what he did. He kept doing it. I don't have to say anything. It's my circus. I'm the ringmaster. But we need to get our act together in this country about violence and just people not acting in sane ways. And that goes across the board. I'm tired of hearing politicians, I guess I would fit sort of into that category, saying things like, this is not the time to talk about these emotional issues. And I'm tired of hearing politicians spouting party rhetoric when it is clearly time to start talking about actual issues and actually discussing change that needs to be made. Laws do not stop crimes. Sorry, Chief. If that was the case, we wouldn't have had a murder since the 10 Commandments. It's the community's responsibility to the community. If you see some of your friends or somebody acting off, what does it go? If you see something, say something. It's everybody's responsibility. The laws are certainly worthwhile tools, and we need it. But we also need politicians who will get off of the edges of the politics and start remembering that they're working for the people, not the party. What's going on in this country is wrong. I don't know what the answer is, but I know a bunch of people hovering towards the extremes of party rhetoric is not creating an answer. I try not to talk more than I need to and extend these meetings longer than they need to go, but I would encourage everyone to reach out to their respective party members and tell them to get off the edges of their extremes, which is a lot politer than I was going to put it, and do something constructive. I am a pure redneck. I like my guns. Nobody needs a fully automatic weapon. Nobody needs a .50 caliber anything. If you need something fully automatic to go hunting, you shouldn't be in the woods in your first place because you're a terrible shot and you're a danger to others. We shouldn't surrender our guns to people because somebody else decided that, but we should be responsible. The NRA used to be in favor of background checks, but then Dubuchet, or whatever his name is, decided a decade or so back that we weren't going to do that. There's no reason for anybody who's 18 and doesn't have a brain that's fully formed to go and buy one of these weapons. Realistic,
adjustments need to be made. I have no problem with people owning weapons. There are some that we don't need, and there is no problem with background checks, and there's no problem with limits. We need to get away from the extremes and just start doing stuff that's actually going to benefit the community, not the corporations that get us elected. That's all I have to say about this. Anybody else? Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. This was a really busy meeting tonight, and I want to thank everybody, developers who are coming into Wheeling and seeing us grow. It means a lot. You know, people are different businesses. Whether or not you think a cannabis dispensary is good, it's a business, it's coming in, you see a reason to be here. Residential and retail coming in, you know, brand new liquor licenses, a bakery, you know, a lot of things that we really, really want and need, and I appreciate it. Wheeling is the place to be. I've had other trustees and, you know, different elected officials from different towns come up and say, wow, you guys did it right. They love the town center, they love what's going on. Our park district, it's got to be number one. And I say that for President Stein. She's the president of the park board, and she deserves some credit, and your board too, and everything that's going on. I'd like to think that this board and prior boards had a lot to do with the businesses coming in based on the policies we've set, but I also know that it's staff that works with all these people and makes sure things can get done and can be done right. So, you know, kudos to staff. I think we've really got it right here. I also want to thank former Plan Commissioners Yednick and Blanova, who moved out of the area, unfortunately, and we do have 2 new Plan Commissioners, and I wanted to publicly thank 2 residents of Wheeling who stepped up and said, yeah, I want to serve, I want to do something for my community. And I think that's what Wheeling is. It is community. That's Plan Commissioner Casper and to be sworn in Plan Commissioner Myer very soon. On the news today, I heard about 3 Special Olympians who were trained here in Wheeling at the American Academy of Gymnastics, and I think they deserve a shout out. They're going down to Orlando to compete. They're very excited, and it's kind of a good story to hear compared to everything that we have heard. And I also want to welcome the newest member of our police department, because I've been bugging the police department to meet her forever and finally did. We have a brand new comfort dog named Olive, so, you know, hopefully you'll see her around town, and I think she is a really good addition to our police department. And thank you, Chief Dunn, for kind of spearheading that project and bringing her in. I think there's a use for her. And that's all.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Kruger?
Just because Trustee Papantos is handing out kudos, but Manager Svandilis or Director Ainsworth, wasn't Wheeling named one of the best communities to raise a family and buy a home or something recently?
Buy a home. I believe we were number 3. Is that correct, Patrick?
That's
based on diversity, based on education, based on new businesses, as we mentioned. So that's what I'm trying. Well, thank you. We look forward to your article. I hope my editor lets me write it. I hope so too. It was really good news to hear about that, and there are so many reasons to be proud to be in Wheeling, to be a developer, a bakery, a dog trainer. This is the place where you can find a home, and yeah, I couldn't be prouder of tonight's agenda and what's happening in town. So,
Absolutely.
Hear, hear.
If there are no other recognitions or comments, we do have the bills to pay for May 12th through June 1st. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Or not. Trustee Vito, thank you. Roll call.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Beagle?
Yes.
Vogel, Vogel.
Whatever.
Two at once.
It's the chair.
Just blend them.
President Hork.
I thought you said
Beagle.
Beagles.
Sure. All right, we do have an executive session this evening, so that means it is whether it is for pending probable and/or imminent litigation. Therefore, I need a motion to recess into executive session and adjourn the regular meeting. We will not be coming into regular open session after the executive session. Is that correct, Mr. Ferrolo?
That's correct, Mr.
Thank
President.
you.
Thank you.
So, may I have such a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second?
Second.
It's just a slow night. Trustee Vito. Roll call, please.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Recess.
Vito.